How are you, Greg? Marty, what's going on?
How are you?
Thank you.
Good. Better than ever.
Okay, you want us to take it off now, Mark?
Now, why don't you just leave it up, because you're gonna be first up anyway. And that way I can't lose it.
Nobody else is in there.
So we have a quorum.
Yeah.
Greg Parasino was going to join via Zoom. How you doing,
I'm good. How are you?
Donna?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, we're ready to go, 7:02.
Time is 7:02. I'll call to order the City of Torrington Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for June 23rd, 2021. This meeting is held in person at City Hall Auditorium, Room 218, 140 Main Street, Torrington, Connecticut. The instructions for Zoom are available online at www.torringtonct.org/Zoom. You can join the meeting. There's a link for it. The number to call in, 1646-558-8656, meeting ID 795-950-7035, passcode is 907148. Agenda item number 2, attendance. Serving on the commission this evening is Donna Greco, Starley Arias in person. Myself, Greg Mealy in person. Marty Connor is also in attendance. Via Zoom is Commissioner Donovan Riley. Moving on to agenda item number 3, presentation.
Also Jim Babinski.
Jim, thank you so much. Welcome.
Hi, Jim.
Hi.
Okay. Moving on to agenda item number 3, presentation. A, Michael Kluchman, BCS Group, Val Farrell, Good Earth Advisors, East Main Street Corridor Study dated May 2021. Thank you for being with us this evening.
Great to be here, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Is it, everybody has audio and video now, or do we have to wait for anyone?
I believe we're set, right, Marty?
Okay,
All set, go.
all right. I'm gonna start it off, Marty, and Michael will join in. Next slide, Michael, so you folks. So this is who we are, just in case you didn't catch our names, and also obviously for recording purposes. So Michael's with BSC and I'm with Good Earth Advisors. Go ahead, next. We certainly want to kick things off just noting that although we're the consulting team, we were despite COVID, we were in constant communication with our TAC, our Technical Advisory Committee. And you see the names of the committee there, and they were with us and actually collaborated with us from every step of the way. So it was a great working relationship. And of course, we want to give credit to, this is a DOT fund project. Actually, the funds came from the US Department of Transportation. And of course, as you probably already know, that the Northwest Hills COG administered the grant on behalf of the city. Next slide, Michael. So before we get into like the real nitty gritty, and by the way, we're going to give you just an overview of what we're doing. And if you're really interested and we want to give you a quiz later, there are several PowerPoints on the city's website that goes through each of our presentations. And, you know, each one is pretty lengthy, but so we're going to give you a high level overview because of course, as you referenced, Mr. Chair, the report has been submitted. And, you know, we just wanted to give you an overview of what that report looked like. So just to start things off, I don't have to tell you folks how this corridor has evolved from a little dirt path. This woodcut, courtesy of the Torrington Historical Society, is actually sort of a view shed from East Main, probably at the center near the five-legged intersection out towards Litchfield Hills. But that's basically what we were looking at Torrington, you know, in 1830. Next. And this is the late 1800s, and this is actually East Main looking east. If you've never seen this photo, I was stunned when The Historical Society dug it up for us, but that's essentially the way East Main Street once looked in the 1800s. And then, of course, more contemporary, I guess if you want to call it that, in the 1920s on the left, yes, indeed, that was the corridor. And I think as we all, some of you may remember, and we've certainly seen photos of sort of that iconic downtown shot. And this is East Main looking west from Wall Street, somewhere around 1961. Next slide. Excuse me. So, faced with really what's happened and how this corridor has evolved, it's a long corridor. We have 3.1 miles to work with. And it's evolved into this sort of this multifunctional, some people call it a multi-headed monster to us, but a multifunctional road that there's regional shopping, there's neighborhoods on both sides. And of course, as we all know, it's a commuter route, east and west. So as this grew and evolved and the land uses sort of took hold, as we know, vehicles have become the dominant feature there. And there's not a lot of connectivity between the neighborhoods. Pedestrian circulation, pedestrian safety has become of prime importance. And, we're concerned that if we don't manage the traffic, it actually could backfire on us and not really start or continue to fuel the economic development engine that's there. So essentially, and go to the next slide, Michael. You can see these project goals. Now, you folks, we do corridor studies, so these might not be that distinctive to you folks, but, in a lot of places, the corridor studies are just about cars and traffic, maybe a little bit about bikes, but they're about traffic counts and lots of traffic models. This was unusual. This was a hybrid. This was about, am I getting feedback? Am I okay?
You're good.
Okay.
Yeah, you're fine.
So this was generally about not just traffic and managing traffic and safety, but also economic development, pedestrian connectivity, improving the physical surroundings. And certainly what we'd like to see more of is more bus service, more reliable bus service. So those are the project goals that really drove us. You want me to continue, Mike? You want to take this?
No, I'll just jump in,
Yep.
just so, thank you, Val. So, Val gave you the overview of the history. Again, this is all detailed in the report, but really we've broke down the corridor into 4 segments. So that's how it's organized, is a downtown gateway segment has one, a certain character we identified. And then we just said, okay, there's another segment after that, the Western Neighborhood Commercial segment, which is sort of a transit, is where the commercial aspect starts to come in. And then we have a commercial transitional segment where the mix of businesses start to get larger. And then as you get to the top, the characters completely changed by then. And so we call it the Eastern Gateway Regional Shopping segment. So we just said that each of these pieces of East Main Street change as you go. So we talked about them as distinct characters as we go. So again, there's more detail on each segment in the report, but this is the approach we took. I'll let you talk about the community outreach, Val.
Sure. So as you might expect, when we first started this, I think we signed the contract, geez, I don't know when, but we got going, BSC had started traffic counts, and of course COVID hit. And all our plans for outreach went out the window, literally and figuratively. But you know what? We ended up, it was amazing because we had virtual public meetings. We got to meet with property owners. At some point, it was still nice out at the beginning and the end. So I met with property owners outside. We had virtual stakeholder meetings. We, of course, kept populating the websites. The city, and particularly your GIS group, cobbled together this online survey that was fantastic. So we actually had folks going into your GIS system and interacting directly with the locations of what they thought, gee, I'd like to see sidewalks there. Gee, I don't like this. Right here, I got rear-ended. I mean, that's the kind of, high interaction we were getting. And so, COVID was COVID, but we were still able to connect. And after each one of the presentations, we also received email communications. And the next slide shows you some of the things. This is just a smattering of the type of and the detail that we were getting from the citizens and businesses of Torrington. So I was pretty pleased.
Val, can I ask a quick question? I'm sorry
Yeah,
to interrupt
absolutely.
you. I apologize. GIS, I'm new to your survey. The GIS stands for what?
Geographic Information Systems. So the city has an excellent refined GIS system that, so Mr. Riley, if you wanted to look up your property, there's a website you go to on the city's website, and you can actually punch in your address and you'll see assessor's records. You can find out all about the physical. It's very cool. So we took that base. We didn't actually, Dave, your GIS manager, took that, working with Marty and Rista, developed this interactive online survey. It was unbelievable. It was great. So if you folks, particularly if you're new to the PCC, if you haven't been able to play with that yet, Marty, that's something you probably ought to maybe play with some of these days. It's great. It's really good. Any other questions?
Not surprising
Nope.
that Marty was the driving force behind that. Thanks. Makes sense.
Yeah,
Thanks, Marty.
we have an excellent GIS manager, David Scherf. He's been with the city for probably about 15 years now, and he does an amazing job working with all the departments and helping us with mapping. So, yeah, I'll introduce you to him someday when you're around during office hours.
And by the way,
Thanks,
this was sort of in its infancy. We were just talking about it in general, Marty. I think you and Rista were thinking about it. But then when COVID hit, we really said, okay, we need this. So Dave really stepped up, got this operational, and it really, we beta tested it for just a short period of time and off and running. So it was extremely valuable.
Awesome. Thanks, Val.
Sure.
Okay, so, again, the behind all of this are, detailed traffic counts and analysis and traffic timing, all the stuff you'll find in a traditional traffic report. And as Val said, what's unique about this report, it really is unique, is sort of the balance of traffic analysis and information, and also looking at current and future private development along the corridor. So balancing those out so we can see the effect of one on the other. So when we start talking about recommendations, again, that's the context we're working with, is looking both at the traffic conditions and impacts and solutions, and also what's happening all outside of the state right away, because the state controls the right away, but really both need to work together. So again, as a summary, we compiled all the existing condition information, the public feedback, and really what we came out with is some overall recommendations to get into more detail in the report. But there's the idea of placemaking here. This is the idea that how do you direct people to the city? What's their entrance? Is it off Route 8? Do you tell people, oh, you get off when you see the Burger King? Or can we make a nicer gateway and a real sense of place of the city when you're there, and pedestrian realm? So that was a very important part, is, making a real place. And then just, without going through all these access management, that's just all the cars coming out of weird curb cuts and making the traffic harder. Is there a way to make it all organized a little better as you go down the corridor, make it safer? Again, dealing with the congestion and the vehicle operations, a lot of recommendations about lanes and signals. Pedestrian safety and connectivity is very important, because that is the next dimension. That is, crossing East Main Street is not safe, as you all know. So how, as we look to what changes would happen along the corridor, when sidewalks go in, when crosswalks go in, making it a safe place to walk up and down East Main Street and go to the businesses, not only by car. And then the final thing here is transit, looking, as Val said, how do we provide public transportation into the mix and improve where people get on and off transit, looking at the routes that are there now, and sort of making a recommendation that really this needs to be studied further going into the future. So that was a quick overview on what we looked at as a transportation study, but I'm going to hand it back to Val, and she's going to talk about focus areas, and really we look at these for interaction of the public and private realms.
Right. So the distinction here is that we looked at the entire corridor and we provided recommendations for the entire corridor. Okay. Street trees in certain areas, changes in access and curbs, a modified median in a couple areas. So we had the big picture, 3.1 miles of what we want to do across the entire corridor. But then again, and this was distinctive, getting more towards economic development and placemaking, we selected, the TAC actually selected 7 areas that were going to be used for further study. And in these 7 areas, there were multiple things to look at. And you can see that on your screen: development and reuse, traffic, access management. And remember, access management, just think curbs, in, out, curbs. That's what access management is. Connectivity, accessibility, that means, physically challenged. And then, as we've been talking about, placemaking, urban design. Now, for each of those studies, we didn't really know, we had no preconceived notion of, in these 7 areas, what would apply here. That was part of the analysis. That's what we had to do. So we were literally living out there in the corridor for a long time, just documenting taking photos, just assessing how these things relate to the present function of the corridor. So the next slide is, I'll rifle through these areas. So we've got the former Rite Aid pharmacy, because it was vacant. The glass building, which is really part of the next one, next slide, which is the East Main Street Route 8 gateway. Perfect pictures there, like you have to be reminded what it looks like. And then go ahead. The Torrington West Street area, particularly Jimmy's and Cumberland Farms in that area. We also looked at the 1397, 1435 East Main block, Enterprise, Pizza Palace, because that really is an access management challenge. And then next, Michael, obviously the traffic and the flow at the Target Plaza and at Walmart, big lots, particularly the rear parcel, because it's been slated for redevelopment. And then there's a couple vacant parcels right next to Wendy's. And, right there at Dibble Street is a pretty main off-ramp over to Kennedy Drive and up to Route 8. So those were the areas that we did the deep dive. Next slide. So what we're going to do here is, now we've got, if you look at the report, there's dozens of these images. So we didn't want to take, an hour and a half to go through these. So we picked a couple areas that we thought we'd just quickly go through, just to give you a smattering of what we did and how we analyzed it. So this one, of course, is the Route 8 gateway. And you can see those text boxes were a discussion of present conditions and what we might want to think about, and what would happen in the future. And of course, we were really reimagining Route 8. Next. So we've thought about this future long-term vision, like 10, 15, maybe 20 years, and then we backed into something more realistic for short term. But the long-term vision is really to synergistically get those 3 colored areas to work together and in concert with some type of DOT improvements. Because right now, as Michael said, right now we're using Burger King is our benchmark of, yeah, meet me at Burger King. Yeah, it's, go to the Burger King and go straight. Go to the Burger King and take a right. I mean, it's not the nicest way to give people directions. So we know that, future is fully integrated. And by integrated, we also mean we're not displacing those developments. Not at all. We're just trying to pull them together in a more cohesive design. Okay, next one. So in addition to the sort of the strategy, we also have to look at this long-term transportation vision. And as you can see, one of the things is that maybe we boot East Elm Street and allow the diner and Burger King and all that to work together, and then somehow unify, the glass building, whatever that might be. And, we did have meetings with the glass building, and we know that they're looking at several options. So, we thought a plausible thing would be to cut through School Street and head it straight out and then unify by eliminating East Elm. Again, that's the discussion that would be done with DOT, but that would be the future. Then this gives you an idea of the details that we looked at. You don't necessarily see all of the analysis that went into this, but there's a fair amount of traffic studies that had to get done in order to develop this configuration. The lanes, you'll see a little bit of median, the lefts and the rights and the signal timing, all of that is represented not just here at the interchange, but throughout the corridor. Wherever we saw issues, here's a enlarged view of sort of the gateway to that area with the traffic improvements embedded into it. And you'll see, we're trying to start softening the image, making things look better while allowing these present land uses to function. Next. So this is the shot. This is like right now, in present, that's what it looks like. And our vision is that. And as dramatic as that looks, it is not a huge lift. I think it's something that the city, with cooperation with the DOT, really could achieve. And you know what this means? This means we're kind of like recapturing the downtown leg that got cut off by Route 8. That's really what happened here. So we're establishing an aesthetic gateway both ways to reclaim what downtown used to be. Next. And then, this is an example of the sidewalk, critical sidewalk project. The city is already undertaking the sidewalk project. Our charge was to evaluate where the sidewalks are already being designed versus where the sidewalks need to go next. So we've developed a proposed sidewalk program through the corridor. Next. And then let's go to the other direction where we get into our, really our last focus area, which is Torrington Fair and Target. And as you know, this has been totally transformed with big box uses. It still works though, because the network is there. The traffic improvements that we're recommending aren't that dramatic, but we certainly want to see, and I think this has been a pet peeve of the commission, and I know Marty, is some type of connection, pedestrian and vehicular, if we could, between Target and Walmart. And you know that with the improvements at Walmart, we're going to get almost there, but that would tremendously help connectivity and help that whole function in that area. And then there's another, Marty, I think we have one more slide there next. Yeah, so you can see the detailed improvements we're recommending to make that area function better from a traffic standpoint. Now, this would have to be done. This would have to be done with the DOT. Okay. So parting message here is that the report and the study really establishes a foundation. It's not the end, really, it's the beginning. And working with the DOT, trying to secure additional grants, actually having DOT step up and provide some capital improvement programs to do some of these improvements. That study, this study should really support that type of approach. So in the end, that's what we hope to accomplish. We think we have accomplished that. But now what's going to happen is with the commission, if the commission, embraces the plan, the mayor, lots of different agencies need to put their heads together and then figure out what can be tackled and then what needs to be done in coordination with the DOT.
So what I was hoping the commission would do is adopt this as a planning document, a planning study, so that when we do have development proposals, within this corridor study area, we can point to this study, which is, it's on our website, and it's an excellent planning tool, as Val said. So I think we give it a little bit of teeth if the commission would move to adopt this as a planning study tonight.
Right. And to add to that, Marty, I mean, there are specific recommendations. We didn't show all the graphics, but let's just say Rite Aid, where we think you should keep the vegetation and do some other things. Those are things that if you adopted this plan, when a developer comes in, Marty can sit down and say, look, this is the commission, this is the foundation that we're looking for. And it does give you more leverage, clearly.
Just a quick question, Commissioner Mealy here. With your traffic counts and so forth, did you look beyond for the future traffic flow in some of these undeveloped areas? For example, I know La Cucina area has been looked at many times for potential redevelopment and so forth. Has that information kind of been factored into these areas?
DOT had to approve the future growth projections.
Okay,
And there are assumptions built into that to accommodate for growth.
I see.
That being said, in the Route 8 Gateway, when we looked at the analyses and provided some recommendations on reuse and redevelopment, we gave specific ideas about, maybe you need to connect parking. Maybe you need to get those 3 parcels in the rear. We know that Marty and the commission has seen a number of times developers coming in trying to do something there. So we addressed that broadly, and then the traffic studies specifically reflected growth. I forgot if it's 10 or 20 years, but the growth provisions had to be built into the traffic models that BSC's traffic engineers ran.
Thank you.
I will say though, if you get a development, as you know, besides planning and zoning approval, the developer, depending on, because it's on a state road, irrespective of really the size and the number of car parks, I think they'd probably end up with at least an administrative review at the, at OSTA, just to make sure all the traffic would work. So there's, besides planning and zoning, I think there's also a higher level of traffic scrutiny than anything in that area would have to face.
Right. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, any commissioners have any comments or input here? Very nice presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wow.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was fun. Thank you so much, Marty.
Yeah,
Okay.
so can we maybe?
Yeah, I'd like to get a motion to adopt the East Main Street Corridor Study Plan into our planning and zoning portfolio.
So moved, Donovan Riley.
Thank you, Donovan. Do I have a second?
Second.
I got a second from Donna Greco. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you very much. Have a good evening, folks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, moving on to agenda item number 4, minutes for approval for June 9th, 2021. Do I have a motion? We just,
Moved.
Donovan, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Starley.
Abstention From Donna Greco.
Donna Greco abstained. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? So moved. Thank you. Time is 7:31. We're moving on to agenda item number 5, public hearing scheduled for 7 PM Wednesday, July 21st, 2021. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Item number 5, public hearing is scheduled for 7 PM Wednesday, July 21st, 2021, City Hall Auditorium, Room 218, 140 Main Street, Torrington, Connecticut. A re-subdivision special exception 21-06. Applicant is Allied Engineering Associates, Inc., location 501-501 Essex Core, Assessor Map 234, Block 002, Lot 006. Proposal is a re-subdivision of 2 lots and multifamily residence in the R6 zone. Moving on to agenda item number 6, old business. We have none. Moving on to agenda item number 7, new business. A section 8-24 referral. Applicant is City of Torrington, location 3 parcels on Winston Road. Assessor map 244, block 002, lot 002. Assessor map 244, block 002, lot 004. Assessor map 244, block 002, lot 006. Proposal, intent to purchase 13 plus or minus acres of land, Leone Properties LLC. Marty, you have some information for us there, I believe. I know you gave some maps and
Right.
you have a memo.
I wrote a memo dated June 17th, 2021. Corporation Counsel Vic Michelle has negotiated successfully with Leone Properties LLC to purchase 3 vacant parcels of their land off Winstead Road, tax assessor's map 244, block 002, lot 002, parcel 244, 002, 004, and parcel 244, 002, 006. He's requested that the commission make an 8-24 recommendation on the purchase of the property to the mayor and city council. The property is adjacent to the city's Machuga Park property and has frontage along the Sue Grossman Still River Greenway. It is also adjacent to open space land owned by the Heritage Land Trust. The former trolley line to Winstead is adjacent to or is located on this property. The Conservation Commission previously sought a grant to purchase the 3 properties totaling 13 plus or minus acres. The mayor and city, the Planning and Zoning Commission at the 4/9/08 meeting made a favorable recommendation to the mayor and city council to purchase this same property. Unfortunately, the Conservation Commission was unsuccessful in obtaining the deep open space grant to pay for the property's purchase. The owners contacted the city again about purchasing the property, and Corporation Counsel has successfully negotiated a contract with them. Our open space fund has enough money in the fund to pay for the purchase of the land. These parcels would be a great addition to Machuga Park and the city's open space. The current Conservation Commission wholeheartedly endorses the purchase. I recommend that the Planning and Zoning Commission once again make a favorable 8-24 recommendation to purchase the Leone property to the mayor and city council. The purchase of these 3 properties for open space would be consistent with the plan of conservation and development.
Thank you, Marty.
We also did get a memo from Jeremy Lyford, Assistant City Planner on behalf of the Torrington Conservation Commission, dated June 17th, 2021. Would you like me to read that into the record, Mr. Chairman?
Please, Marty. Thank you.
The Torrington Conservation Commission has reviewed the current and historic materials on this property acquisition, which would entail the purchase of 3 parcels totaling 13.1 acres along Winstead Road to the south of Machuga Road and east of Winstead Road for the purpose of open space preservation and recreation. The city has been attempting acquisition of this property for the past 15 years and was poised to finalize acquisition in 2009, 2010, before the economic downturn forced the city to withdraw their offer. This property contains critical wetlands habitat that would link preserved open space owned by the city to the north, Machuga Park, with preserved property owned by Heritage Land Trust to the south. It would also serve to provide a link between two dead-end streets, Machuga Road and Harris Drive. In addition to protection of valuable wetland habitat in perpetuity, the commission believes the added link between public streets and the current southern terminus of the Sue Grossman Trail would provide expanded opportunity for outdoor activities such as hiking, biking, and other outdoor recreation activities. The acquisition can be accomplished without burdening the taxpayers of the city. The city's existing open space account contains the funds to cover 100% of the agreed upon purchase price of the property. The Torrington Conservation Commission wholeheartedly endorses the acquisition of the property under the terms of the letter of intent to purchase the property dated June 9th, 2021, and also to use the funds in the city's open space account for the purpose of acquiring these parcels.
Thank you, Marty. This property obviously being transferred into the city holdings, obviously would go tax exempt. Being vacant land now, the tax
Yes.
burden on it is very minimal, I assume.
It
anyway.
is, and because of the amount of wetlands, they had previously gone to the tax assessor and gotten reductions
Right,
in
okay. All righty.
the taxable amount. And it is located in an industrial zone.
Mhm.
However, there's no sewer or water there.
Right,
So an industrial property with no sewer or water
correct, yeah.
is not worth
Yeah.
a great amount.
Yeah.
However, the worth of this property is,
Very good,
preserving
sure.
that for, its habitat.
Right.
Its wetlands and its ability to be used in conjunction with Machuga Park and
Mhm.
this Sue Grossman Still River Greenway.
Well, kudos to Vic for being able to put a deal together. Any commissioners have any comments or questions?
No.
No,
Being-
makes for a nice, balanced portfolio. We encourage development as appropriate and preservation is appropriate. And so it's a great job by everybody involved.
Thank you, Donovan. All right, we have a motion. Donna, please.
I'd like to make a favorable recommendation to the mayor and city council, section 8-24 referral. Applicant, City of Torrington, location 3 parcels on Winstead Road. Assessor map 244, block 002, lot 002. Assessor map 244, block 002, lot 004. Assessor map 244, block 002, lot 006. Proposal, intent to purchase 13 plus acres land, Leone Properties LLC.
Thank you. I have a motion. I have a second.
Jim Babinski, second.
Thank you, Jim. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. Moving on to agenda item number 7B, special exception 21-07, applicant Benjamin and Sabrina Chris Woodruff, location 39 Spruce Drive. Proposal section 5.12.6 and 4.19, addition to accessory structure within setback area. This is actually already constructed. We need to set a public hearing date. The suggested date is July 21st, 2021. I have a motion.
Make motion.
I have a motion from Commissioner Greco. Do I have a second, please?
Seconded.
Thank you, Donovan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Moving on to agenda item number C, special exception 21-08, applicant Susan Leo O'Connor, location 3 Goshen Road. Proposals preschool program for 12 children. We need to set a public hearing date. The suggested date is July 21st, 2021. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to move.
I have a motion from Commissioner Greco. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Thank you, Donovan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. We need to add To the agenda by 2/3 vote. For special exception 21-09 and site plan 1378, applicant is Alum Realty, Inc., location 861 New Harrington Road. Proposal gasoline sales, install gasoline dispensers, canopy, parking and landscaping, building facade modifications. We would be setting a public hearing date. So we add to the agenda by 2/3 vote. Do I have a motion, please?
I'd like to make a motion. Move.
Donna, thank you for the motion. Do I have a second?
Second, Jim Babinski.
Jim, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so moved. All right, so for special exception 21-09 and site plan 1378, applicant Allen Realty, Inc., location 861 New Harrington Road, proposal gasoline sales, install gasoline dispensers, canopy, parking, and landscaping, building facade modifications. We need to set a public hearing date. The suggested date is July 21st, 2021. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to move.
Thank you, Donna. Do I have a second?
Second, Jim Babinski.
Thank you, Jim. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Moving on to agenda item number 7D, zoning and blight violation update. Marty, we have anything?
I don't have anything for this meeting. We'll have
Okay.
something for the next meeting.
All right, moving on to agenda item number 8. The time is 7:42. Adjournment. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Thank you, Donovan. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved. Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for your help.
Enjoy visiting with your brother, Donovan.
Summer. It's summer.
What's Jenna doing?
She's doing great.
Yeah. Of course.